Chapter 31 Fire. Totally on fire. For collection. Ask for flowers. Ask for evaluation. Ask for a reward. What not only does it not hurt the body, but it can also improve combat power. Where can we buy such a good thing? Someone asked. Ch31 pointed behind him and said, there are some in heaven and earth for sale. Buy it now, spend over 1 billion yuan, and you can also get a VIP card in heaven and earth, and the card holder is permanently protected by our store, and it is invalid when you leave the store. Everyone was ecstatic, and instantly boiled. Those guys who thought Ch31 was a black-hearted businessman suddenly felt guilty and felt that Ch31 was wrong. Hey! When Laozi doesn't exist, I'm a member of the Kaido Pirates. So what if you kill Admiral? Jonathan on the side shouted abruptly. It was obviously his own battle. How did it become a sales meeting? Ch31 glanced at Jonathan indifferently, and said lightly beside Guibian, kill him. Don't give me face, do a good job, and reward you with a packet of soft china. When Guibian heard the words, he suddenly burst into battle. That is soft china. Something that even Whitebeard loves to smoke. Give it to me. Guibian put on a double knife stance. Ch31 returned to the store with his hands on his back, a contemptuous smile on the corner of his mouth. Even if the kid with the knife drinks snow beer, he's just standing on the same level as him, and the outcome is not guaranteed. Rayleigh in the corner flipped through the newspaper and said lightly. Hearing this, Ch31 showed a disdainful smile, lit a cigarette, and started smoking. For a time, the battle outside the street was in full swing. After drinking the beer, Guibian directly entered the second gear state, and the ability to change the fruit was used continuously, just like the continuous flashing of the open hanging, moving at high speed in the air, bursting out of the way. Wave. The double knives were like sharp silver blades, quickly slicing on Jonathan's splendid back muscles. Immediately, blood dripped and snowflakes splashed. So strong. After Guibian drank snow beer, he used his speed and fruit ability to forcefully suppress Jonathan. Jonathan's axe can't touch him at all. And Guibian's power has also increased a lot. It's scary. But it also proves that beer is really amazing. Asshole. Jonathan is like a mad bull that was madly stabbed into the long sword by a matador, and he can't keep up with the speed of Guibian. Boom. Boom. Sudden. The mad strong Nathan was already red-eyed with anger, and he actually abandoned the double axe, with his stout arms behind his back. It just so happened that he grabbed Guibian's feet, and then... Boom! 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 Jonathan grabbed Guibian's feet and hammered the ground crazily. Crazy! Really crazy! The ground dust splashed and fell apart. The onlookers couldn't stand it any longer. This kind of violent killing was a challenge to their endurance. In the end, Jonathan was tired and sat down on the ground with blood dripping from his back. On the broken street, Guibian was in tattered clothes and lay powerlessly in the rubble, dying. Hey, it's a pity, snow beer is really amazing, but it also depends on the person who uses it. Yet, this battle, he lost because he was too careless. Everything was calm, and people looked at the ghost on the ground with regret. Suddenly, a figure appeared in everyone's sight. Raised everyone's nerves again. Look! It's Boss Yet. What is he going to do? What is he holding in his hand? A bottle of snow beer. A soft china. He's walking towards Guibian. What on earth is he going to do? What a mysterious man, it's hard to fathom. In the middle of the street, Jonathan glanced at Ch31 who was approaching, but there was no movement, he had no energy to do anything now. Yechuan looked at Ghost Bian, who was dying under his feet, shook his head bitterly, then bowed to everyone, smiled and said, "Do you think this is the end? It's not. I'll show everyone later. Let's have a look at the combination gameplay of our products. Beer and smoke. Boundless combat power." Suddenly, a broken hand grabbed Yechuan's ankle. It turned out to be Ghost Bian on the ground. I saw 2 crystal tears flow from his scarred face, his head swayed slightly, and his face was pleading. Who knew that Yechuan kicked it away, completely ignoring whether Guibian wanted to play or not. A bottle of snowflakes was directly poured into Guibian's stomach, and then a soft Chinese flower was ignited and stuffed into Guibian's mouth. Thousands of spectators were in an uproar. There is such a magical way to play. I saw that Guibian's vitality was gradually recovering, all the negative emotions in the brain were eliminated by cigarettes, and his physical strength was replenished by beer. Ah 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 ah! Ghost Bian stings with a carp and picks up double knives. Aggressive. Nanny. Jonathan, who was already tired, looked horrified when he saw the blood-filled Ghost Bian. Let out an unwilling exclamation. 2 silver lights flashed, and everything was calm. Quiet. Incredibly quiet. Tens of thousands of people held their breaths in unison, looking horrified, staring blankly. Yechuan walked silently to Guibian, who was standing still, took out the cigarette butt that had been burned out in Guibian's mouth, lit another one in his own mouth, took a deep breath, and put the cigarette into Guibian's mouth. He took out another pack of brand new hardcover soft china and put it in Guibian's pocket and patted him on the shoulder. When the matter is over, the clothes are gone, and the merit and fame are deeply hidden. Whoa 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 whoa! Whoa 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 whoa! Whoa 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 whoa! The moment Yechuan returned to the store, there were tens of thousands of people screaming. Fire! Completely on fire! Yechuan's beer with cigarettes. Completely famous. Tens of thousands of people poured into the commercial street from all directions. Rush to Yechuan's heaven and earth. Boss. Here are 5 million Baileys. Give me 10 cigarettes. Boss. I have 10 million Baileys here. I bought all snow beer. Boss. Here are 30 million Baileys. Snow beer and China tobacco are half and half. Boss. The shop with more than 100 square meters instantly became extremely crowded. Rich businessmen. Pirates. Bounty hunter. Even land snakes like Kapalich come to buy with a lot of wealth. Also because Yechuan beat Kizuru before. And no one dares to steal the goods. Even if you let him steal it, you can't steal it, because there are fetishes like the system guarding it. Yechuan and the 3 of them were too busy. Later, Rayleigh actually called Shuki over. I have to say that Shuki's business level is still first class. Under her violent checkout, these customers lined up well-behaved one by one. Long queue. The chaotic scene suddenly became orderly. Chapter 32 Famous all over the world. For collection. Ask for flowers. Ask for evaluation. Ask for a reward. Even late at night, the outside of the commercial street is still very hot. Bright lights. After more than half a day of fermentation, countless merchant ships and pirate groups from several nearby islands flocked to Sabayati land, and 40gr poured into hundreds of thousands of people overnight. You know, who can mix in Sabayati, who doesn't have a certain amount of money. However, 2 fists are hard to beat with 4 hands. The business was good, Yechuan was actually annoyed, so he pulled the brakes and threw the customers out of the store. Boss. What do you mean? I came here specially from the nearby island with millions of Baileys. Yeah boss, just let me buy a soft china. I can add money. Yes, yes. Boss, we can add money. Crazy customers looked at Yechuan in the store with bitter faces. How could this boss make no money? Are you going to do something else? I saw Yechuan in the shop with a cigarette in his mouth, with a proud look. Behind him, Rayleigh and Chucky shook their heads silently, facing hundreds of thousands of guests. Even if they were big pirates, they didn't have the ability to pick up customers. Sorry, our store is closed. Please be early tomorrow. Yechuan said loudly, don't care about the feelings of customers, this is the result of being famous, everything follows the boss's wishes, and there is no shortage of customers anyway. No. Boss, I came here specially. The boss's business is so good, why are you closing? Just after the tens of thousands of people crowded in the commercial street heard that Yechuan was about to close, they were instantly reluctant and protested, even if they had money. Yechuan turned around and gave Xiaowu a color. Everyone saw a gloomy young man with a pale face and two dark green tears walking towards the door of the store. Yechuan whispered in Xiaowu's ear, Ryatsu, hold back, don't kill them all. Ulquiera nodded. Suddenly, a powerful Ryatsu spread to the entire Sabayati archipelago in an instant. Hundreds of thousands of people on the islands, including marines, pirates, bounty hunters, and civilians, all trembled in their souls at this moment. His pupils trembled, his expression horrified. Sweat broke out from behind. Marines' military base at Sabayati. Kizaru, who was changing clothes, was shocked by the sudden pressure. The movement suddenly stagnates, and the deep and wretched Three Jiao eyes look out of the window in horror, his face is full of horror. There is still an aura that surpasses Conqueror's haki. Kizaru murmured. This is still the result of Yechuan's account of Xiao Wu, the effect of controlling Ryatsu to a very low level, otherwise, the Ryatsu released by Xiao Wu unconsciously can cause the human souls in a large area nearby to collapse and die. This. Was it the boss's trick just now? What a terrifying aura! Tens of thousands of people on the street were frightened, and they dared not rush forward. Hey, let's go, the boss is not selling, let's come back tomorrow. That's right, the boss must be tired too, let's wait for tomorrow. We are too abrupt. The boss is still a young man, so he can't stay up late. Someone said, and suddenly there was a sound of echoing and praising Yechuan, and the crowd gradually dispersed. Just when the crowd was about to retreat, Yechuan suddenly stood outside the store and said with a smile, our store is now opening an exclusive membership system. With an exclusive membership card, you can enjoy skip-the-line service. One piece only costs 100 million baileys. In Yechuan's hand, a large stack of golden magnetic cards suddenly appeared. The tens of thousands of people who were about to disperse suddenly stagnated, the air was quiet for a while, and a soft voice of discussion sounded in the crowd, it's a terrible sales method, but if you have a membership card, you don't have to wait in line and you can buy directly, which saves a lot of time. I don't think it's all right, as long as the servant takes up a seat here, there's no need to waste money. Yechuan smiled when he heard everyone's discussion, coughed twice, and said softly, with the exclusive membership card, you can enjoy a 20% discount. In an instant, the air is quiet. Tens of thousands of ears trembled in unison. What? Discount? I want it. Here's 100 million baileys. I want two. The boss will bring me two. A discount card. What you buy is what you earn. Boss, give me one too. The crazy crowd flocked to Yechuan again, and the entire 40GR crowd of hundreds of thousands completely boiled. This night, It must be a night that will go down in history. At the same time, this night is also a sleepless night. The major news agencies. Hundreds of thousands of newsbirds quickly radiate the world with Yequan's fancy news. Alabasta of the endless desert. Horrible and eerie bark. Dressrosa of the land of fairies of love and excitement. The fighting nation of the Calm Belt, the daughter country of the Nine Snakes. The city of shipbuilding, the capital of seven waters. After tonight, the whole world will know that Yechuan exists. When 100 membership cards glowed, the crowd dispersed. Only Yechuan and the others were left in the store. Rayleigh and Shucky sat opposite each other, one drinking snowflake and the other smoking zonghua. Xiaowu watched Bubbles while Yechuan communicated with the system. Congratulations, Mr. Yat, and Mr. Yat, for a good opening. The sales amount of the exclusive membership card this time is 10 billion Bailey. Unlock the 10 billion mark, the system reward, 500 points. The sales amount of tobacco and alcohol this time, 5.8 billion Bailey. System reward, 100 points. Accumulated 5-star praise, 200,000 people, total points, 200,800 points. Congratulations to Mr. Yat. Amazingly good data was achieved on the first day. Hearing a series of system prompts in his head, Yechuan lit a cigarette and leaned against the cabinet, looking lonely, with a faint smile on his face, blowing smoke towards the bright moon. Little brother, are you worried? You are the most powerful businessman I have ever seen in my life. Just in terms of today's sales amount, it is already comparable to the annual income of some small countries. A clear and composed female voice came. Yechuan turned to look at Shucky with a smile on his face. While Rayleigh quickly added, Kiki rarely praises people, little brother, you are very good. Ha 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 ha. Yechuan smiled lightly, sat beside the two of them, and sighed silently, as if money didn't seem to bring Yechuan happiness. Shucky and Rayleigh looked at each other, feeling that something was wrong with Yechuan. Rayleigh asked tentatively, are you all right, little brother? Yechuan ignored it, took a deep breath, and sighed with emotion, when I was young. I was so awesome. When I grow up, what should I do? Everyone was speechless. Very evaluation votes left. Thanks for the bouncing king. Chapter 33 Shocked. Naval Headquarters. 4 collections, 4 flowers, 4 evaluation. Ask for a reward. At the same time, Naval Headquarters has once again held an emergency meeting of Marine Elite Vice Admiral and above. This is something that hasn't happened in a long time. In a short period of less than 24 hours, the Marine executives held emergency meetings 3 times in a row, which has made many elite soldiers in the headquarters realize the seriousness of the incident. Although they had no idea what was going on, a tense haze shrouded Marineford tonight. Headquarters high-level meeting room. It is still the lineup of the day, a dozen elite vice admiral, 2 admiral, and 3 veterans. In front of the conference table a video phone bug was playing on a silent projection. The high-level Marine elites, with solemn expressions, carefully examine and observe. What is playing on the screen is the battle between Ghostbian and Jonathan in the 40GR commercial street during the day. When everyone saw Yechuan took out Snow Beer and walked towards Guibian, the screen paused. The first Sengoku, with an extremely serious expression, said solemnly, "This is a picture passed to Marine by a photographer in Sabayati, look. The thing called Snow Beer in the hands of this young man is the protagonist of this Sabayati looting incident. Let's keep watching." When more than a dozen elite vice admirals saw Yequan's handsome face, they all had strange expressions on their faces. After exchanging glances, no one had heard of Snow Beer. I saw Guibian, who drank snow beer in the picture, was red all over, and his combat power was directly raised. With his fruit ability and his own speed, he attacks Jonathan in a continuous manner. Screen paused. More than a dozen vice admirals erupted in heated discussions, and the quiet conference room suddenly became lively. What an amazing beer! It can actually increase a person's combat power so much in just a few breaths. These two guys, if I remember correctly, there should be a certain gap in strength. Now it seems that this beer is a fetish that can make up for the difference in combat power between them. Could it be? Whitebeard came to Sabayati for this kind of thing. Then Finally, someone realized Whitebeard's purpose in coming to Sabayati, and the air in the conference room froze. More than a dozen elite vice-admiral opened their eyes and held their breath. The three heads of state and the two admirals on the first seat had extremely solemn expressions. "Keep watching," Sengoku said solemnly. More than a dozen elite vice-admiral were suddenly shocked. Could it be that there is something shocking? Everyone watched the picture attentively, not letting go of any omissions. I saw Guibian lay dying in the rubble after being hit hard by Jonathan. At this moment, Yechuan appeared on the screen again. Screen paused. Sengoku looked dignified and ashen, and said, "Pay attention to his hands." Everyone frowned and looked. Suddenly, more than a dozen vice-admiral gasps instantly. His face was horrified. This kid. He's holding the red-packed cigarettes that Whitebeard smoked before. If I remember correctly, this cigarette should be called Soft China. Could it be this cigarette? Everyone was shocked, and all their shocked eyes fell on Sengoku. According to the information, this smoke has the effect of eliminating fatigue 100%, and it can also stimulate the user's brain, improve thinking and sensitivity. If used with beer, it has the effect of explosive potential. Keep watching, Sengoku said in a deep voice. The screen continued to play, and when the Marine generals heard the words, their hearts were shocked. I saw that the dying Ghostbian in the picture was poured into beer and cigarettes, and then directly started the rampage, holding two knives in his hands, and his potential sword skills exploded. Kill Jonathan worth 200 million. Seeing this scene, Sakazuki, who has been silent for a long time, twitched the corners of his eyes, and the madness in his eyes flashed by. Marshal. Once this magical commodity is mastered by a certain force, it will definitely break the current world pattern. Yeah, this magical item is being bought by Whitebeard so much, it won't be long before New World breaks out into chaos. That's right. Whitebeard's strength alone can threaten the entire world. If he increases his combat power, the consequences. One after another Marine elite vice-admiral looked terrified, indeed. When Sengoku and others learned about the magic of these products, they were also extremely shocked. The point is, Whitebeard bought a whole billion of these items. If not regulated, the next Whitebeard will come to buy. I know what you said, the purpose of this meeting is to discuss countermeasures with everyone. Sengoku was a little tired. After all, he is also an old man. He was bombarded by so many shocking news in one day, and no one could bear it. After Sengoku finished speaking, Akainu on the side immediately stated his position, and the serious Iron Face said coldly, "Suppress. If this kind of combat-enhancing commodity can be owned by Marine, then the pirates will also disappear in the sea." Akainu's remarks immediately attracted a second voice. Almost no one objected, even the always calm Crane Vice-Admiral nodded silently, and Garp agreed. But what should the strong boss in the store do? There are already hundreds of thousands of people in Sabayati who are obsessed with this magical commodity, and the news about this place will be known to the world after tomorrow. We don't have a valid reason. I'm afraid it's not good. A question from Vice Admiral. Everyone fell into thinking, and after a while, Sengoku proposed a plan. Nowadays, the number of tourists in Sabayati has skyrocketed, bringing a lot of wealth to celestial dragons. We certainly cannot directly suppress it, but we must ensure that no strongman like Whitebeard will come to buy it. Send someone to contact, directly cargo monopoly. As soon as this proposal came out, everyone immediately applauded, and the goods were monopolized. Get things done in minutes with the deep pockets of naval headquarters. I'll leave this to Aokiji. The meeting is over. Sengoku said in a deep voice. The atmosphere in the venue was a little depressed. Some vice admiral glanced at Akainu silently before leaving, but Akainu didn't reveal anything, and strode out of the conference room. Aokiji, who was awakened, wore a suit and looked lazy. Father, isn't Paul Salino in Sabayati land? Why did you tell me to go there? Garp, who was sitting opposite Aokiji, shouted with a cold expression, Aokiji. You are now an admiral from the headquarters, you look like an admiral. Aokiji waved his hand. Because it was Garp's sake, Aokiji looked apologetic and sat up straight. Well, Mr. Garp, sorry. Sengoku in the first seat took off his glasses, rubbed the bridge of his nose, and said softly, Aokiji. You should know the current distribution within the headquarters. All three of us want you to be the successor of the Marshal. But the hawks headed by Sakazuki behave madly and treat pirates cruelly. It's not good for Marine's future development. You must seize the opportunity we created for you. Accumulate credit, you know. Aokiji looked blank, scratched his head, and did not give a clear answer. It's almost dawn, you can go now. Crane Vice Admiral said lightly. The slender Aokiji did not refuse. He inserted Kabuto with one hand, carried his suit jacket, and left the conference room silently. Chapter 34 World Chain Store. For collection. Ask for flowers. Ask for evaluation. Ask for a reward. The next day, before the world opened, hundreds of thousands of people gathered in the bustling 40gr of Sabayati. If Jobs saw this scene, the coffin board would not be able to hold it. A mere beer and cigarette can make hundreds of thousands of people wait in line, and the Apple machine that the old man spent half his life researching is comparable to this. Completely reduced to ashes. On the crowded 40gr street, there are huge crowds of people, and people from the 3 religions and 9 classes gather together, and there are heated discussions. Look! Isn't that Nicholas Ghost Fu? It's actually a soft Chinese. Really? I didn't expect him to be so low-key at ordinary times, and he can even smoke soft Chinese with 50W Baileys. It's not easy. I only bought a big front door yesterday. It's a magical thing. But I heard that the big guys who have eaten soft china are full of vitality and spirit. There was a lot of discussion on the street, and many of them came from the nearby islands. Listening to the bragging of those who had already enjoyed the magical things, one by one was unbearable. Anxiously waiting. Hey! Do you know yesterday, the captain of the Philo Pirates was fortunate enough to buy a soft china and mid-priced Tsingtao beer, and directly fought against the Singularity Pirates. What? Philo fights the Singularity? Isn't this courting death? Although the overall strength of the Philo Pirates is lower than the Singularity, they can't win with the captain, right? Hey, you all guessed wrong. Captain Philo directly sent soft china and Tsingtao beer to all the crew members. Everyone has a beer and a smoke. The combat power is boundless. The Singularity Pirates are over. Hey! It's scary. Similar incidents abound. The combination of beer and smoke has been played with many different combinations by everyone, such as Yuxi with Snowflake, Snowflake with Daqianmen, Qingdao with Yuxi. Not only can it improve the combat power, but also according to the situation, it can be matched with immovable combat usage. Make the battle more fun. Many ingenious use methods are talked about by everyone. Become a talk after dinner. Hey! The world is open. What? The world is open for business. Everyone, hurry up. The sound of a mountain like Hongzhong. The crowd rushed to the world frantically, and Yechuan, who had just opened the store, faced the surging crowd, and was suddenly drowsy. I'm going to FKU. Yechuan looked terrified, scolded subconsciously, spread his arms, a soft force pushed the crazy customers in the front row away, and then his arms were separated from left to right, the dense crowd was divided into two sides, and a line was opened aisle. Boss! I have an exclusive membership card. Let me in. Yes, boss. I have it too. Let me in. We are all here to give you money. Ha 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 ha. A very small number of people in the crowd waved the membership cards that Yechuan issued yesterday, and they shouted proudly, and everyone's eyes turned to them with envy. However, some people only came today and do not know what an exclusive membership card is. After Yechuan stood still, he glanced at it, and said lightly, anyone with a membership card is listed. Soon, 100 card holders came out of the crowd, including wealthy businessmen, prominent nobles, notorious pirates, and pirate hunters. Their identities were different, but they all had distinguished members. Card. Wow! I didn't expect a membership card to have such an effect. If I knew yesterday, I shouldn't have hesitated. Brother, what is a membership card? Does it work? Brother new here, right? This membership card was created by the big boss Yechuan. It can only be owned by someone with a distinguished status and a certain amount of wealth, and it can also be discounted. Seeing that there are not 100 people, they were yesterday's lucky ones. If I can get a card today, I'll definitely get one. Oh yo, it seems that brother is not an ordinary person. Disrespectful disrespect. At this moment, these 100 people are standing in the middle of the crowd, listening to the envious voices and gazes of hundreds of thousands of people, each with a proud, full of spring breeze, and triumphant, Yechuan's approach is very satisfying to them. Their inflated vanity. Come in. Yechuan said lightly with a hook, and then, 100 people slowly paced, as if they were walking to an awards ceremony, all of them arrogant and indomitable. Boss! I also have a card. 100 million, right? I have it. Yeah, boss. We're not short on money. What? 100 million Bailey. How many people still buy it? The crowd suddenly boiled, and everyone said something, but after all, the population base is here, and there are almost no poor people in Sabayati. It is normal that there are thousands of people who are willing to apply for cards. Quiet. It's still the old rules today, 100 million pieces. First come, first served. A stack of membership cards magically appeared in Yechuan's hand. And another 100 lucky ones entered the store. Everyone! Do you really want to go in and buy magical goods? Yechuan asked with a sinister smile, and hundreds of thousands of people fell silent for a while. Today, in order to allow everyone to buy satisfactory products, this boss spent a lot of money last night. He bought the entire commercial street. After Yechuan said a word, the crowd suddenly burst into an uproar. Boss Ye is so brave. He was able to achieve such a scale at such a young age. I admire it. The old man is also ashamed of himself. The future generations are terrifying. The latter generations are terrifying. The two wealthy old businessmen in the crowd sincerely admired Yechuan. From their sincere eyes, one could see the infinite admiration for Yechuan. Yechuan paused for a while and continued, I bought the entire commercial street, and opened them up overnight and renovated them. Now, not only here, but the entire street is filled with the products you want behind closed doors. Open! I saw Yechuan raising his arms. The doors of the shops in the commercial street that stretch for hundreds of meters open instantly, and they are also decorated with gorgeous crystals. All kinds of cigarettes and beers are placed on the exquisite crystal containers, giving people a sense of luxury and dignity. I saw 4 identical long-haired young women standing at the door of each store. That was the Chinese brand 2060 mobile phone that Yechuan used Bailey to exchange from the employee exchange mall last night. Silly girl, Yechuan, a full exchange of 400 silly girls. A silly girl, rent from 7 days, 7 days 1000 Bailey. In total, it takes 7 days to repay 4 billion Baileys to the system, which is an astonishing figure in 1 month. However, even if the silly girl of future technology is placed in the world of pirates, it is not weaker than the strong existence of Marine Rear Admiral. If it is handled properly, silly girl and Sun Wukong can fight. Mainly Yechuan still values her comprehensive ability. Perfect for being a cashier. At the same time, the combat power is also guaranteed. Boss Yat. You really are a good boss who thinks about the people. Use the money you earn to open a branch for us. You really have a heart. Yes. Boss Yat is really a good person. Some people in the crowd thought this was what Yechuan did specifically, and they simply brought the rhythm. Yechuan, who was quoted, showed a shy smile, waved his hands and smiled again and again, don't dare to be. Oh hey, the words are serious, look at what you said, what nonsense is talking about the truth, it really is. Okay. Everyone, let's go in. The World Chain Store. Open! Boom boom boom! Hundreds of thousands of people frantically flocked to the more than 100 storefronts behind Yechuan, and the ground trembled with smoke billowing. With such a huge population, even if it is spread out, the power is a little scary. Seeing all kinds of people passing by, Yechuan lit a cigarette indifferently, smiled and shook his head. Without indifference, there is no clear ambition, and without tranquility, there is no far-reaching. I am indeed a young man who regards money as dung. After launching a chain store, Yechuan can be considered to be out of poverty in the future, and the sales channels can be considered to be opened. Next, other templates will be lit up. Everything you do now is to pave the way for the future. You must know that every lighting and industry template requires a huge amount of money. You still have to save money. Just to buy these stores, Yechuan spent 5 billion Bailey to buy them from witch bosses, and spent 800 million for the decoration overnight, and exchanged for 400 silly girls. 1 billion, the national treasury is almost empty at once, but according to the current momentum, it will not take long to start the next business. P.S. Be on the shelves for the first order. Although it's still early. But be sure to cheer on the day it goes on sale. Chapter 35 Aokiji's Tea Party. For collection. Ask for a reward. Ask for flowers. Ask for evaluation. Yechuan received an invitation to a tea party at noon on the same day. On the top floor of GR1 in Sabayati Land, a magnificent hotel built on huge colorful bubbles, here are the giants of all walks of life in Sabayati Land. The top floor is as gorgeous as a palace, full of liveliness. There are pirate captains in suits, royal palace nobles in dresses, and dancing girls with beautiful postures, elegant music, noble red wine, and all kinds of mouth-watering food. Gorgeous and colorful crystal chandelier. Everyone is holding Portuguese Tao wine and champagne drinks, whether it is a murderous pirate, a nobleman with all his strength, or a gangster. The main purpose of holding this tea party is that the major industry giants are trying to curry favor with Yechwan. And this luxurious tea party seems to have a little episode. It's been an hour since the party started. Why isn't Boss Ye here yet? It's really urgent. Hey! That's too bad. Boss Ye is young, promising, and powerful. It's okay to wait. He would you like to light a cigarette to refresh yourself? Oh! Isn't it just soft china when we don't have it? For a time, this evening party, invisibly formed a competition to show off their wealth. Everyone is a big boss with a head and a face, and they don't want to lose face. Both men and women smoke expensive soft china. After a long time, the heavy door of the party scene was finally pushed open, and everyone who was communicating with each other was instantly attracted by a powerful aura behind the door, and they all looked sideways. The picture is as slow as a gambling hall. With the soothing music in the venue, Yechwan is seen wearing a tough black George Armani businessmen's clothing, with high-end black crocodile leather shoes. Like two sharp swords, they were slanted on both sides of his hair, and his eyes seemed to contain two ink jades. The dark eyes seemed to be covered with a layer of water mist, making his eyes look hazy and long. It makes people look unreal at a glance. The bridge of the nose is tall and straight, and the lips are thin, very sexy. Xiao Wu silently followed behind Yechwan with no expression on his face. Yechwan's gloomy eyes were slightly wrinkled, and he swept across the crowd. With the blessing of George Armani businessmen's clothing exchanged from the system, Yechwan revealed the temperament of a superior, and directly blinded the aborigines in the audience. Wow! Is that Boss Ye? Wow! So handsome! This suit is too handsome. Only a man like Boss Ye in the world can wear such a high-end suit. Yechwan's late arrival instantly became the focus of the audience. Numerous young women and noble ladies showed their obsession, while the men looked embarrassed, looking at the so-called high-end suits they were wearing, compared to Yechwan's business George Armani suits, as funny as a country secretary. A blonde girl was wearing a luxurious long red dress, and her fair fingers were holding a glass of red wine, and walked to Yechwan. Boss Ye! The woman sighed, and shyly put the red wine in her hand in front of Yechwan. Yechwan smiled and showed a mature business elite temperament. Look at the woman in front of you. Those onlookers looked at Yechwan in a daze. Heart is full of shock. Why? Why is Boss Ye's movements so coherent? Give me a strong sense of beauty. This kind of temperament is definitely not something that can be cultivated overnight. Boss Ye's back must not be easy. Papa! 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 Suddenly, thunderous applause sounded. Everyone clapped around Yechwan seeing Feng. Facing the crowd like stars holding the moon, Yechwan didn't show any unnaturalness. The faint smile on his face revealed confidence. He nodded slightly to the crowd, and then disappeared into the crowd, keeping a low profile like him. System. Next time, change me to a suit one size larger, it's almost strangling me. In the empty corner, Yechwan communicated with the system and complained, but the system ignored Yechwan. Yechwan glanced at Xiao Wu, and looked at everyone alone, exuding an out-of-place temperament. Suddenly, Yechwan's back froze, and he turned around to look. His eyes passed through the shadowy armor of passers-by. At the door, he saw a lazy man in a white suit vest and dark blue shirt, leaning on the door frame, his eyes indifferent. Look at Yechwan. Yechwan's eyebrows twitched. This familiar figure, isn't it?" Marine Admiral Aokiji, seeing him holding a bottle of snow beer in his hand, he slowly walked towards him, and everyone around him felt a chill, and he was intentionally estranged from Aokiji. "Little brother, are you satisfied with this tea party?" I saw Aokiji holding the beer in one hand, and the beer glass was covered with a layer of pure white frost in an instant. Aokiji approached and took a sip, and said lightly, his deep and lazy voice echoed in Yequan's ears. Yechuan didn't show any special expression, and thought about it in his heart. There is indeed a shadow of naval headquarters behind this tea party. Have you started to pay attention to me, Aokiji? The characters in the original book are not bad. I don't know what is the purpose of approaching yourself this time. Just tell me if you have anything. Yechuan leaned back against the bright window, lit a cigarette, and said lightly. The tall and thin Aokiji took a sip of beer, showing a satisfied look, and said with admiration, "Little brother, your beer is really good. It's more enjoyable to drink after it's chilled." Yechuan didn't respond when he heard the words, and he sighed on his own. Aokiji on the side glanced at Yechuan earnestly, and realized that Yechuan was not an ordinary young man, so he stated his purpose this time. "These commodities of yours have brought you huge wealth. The world government hopes that you will stop selling them." Immediately, a section of soot fell from Yequan's mouth and fell to the ground, and the atmosphere between the two became subtle. "Damn it, cut off people's fortunes. The revenge of killing my father is nothing but this." Yechuan was very contemptuous in his heart. "But after all, I haven't grown up yet. If you want to do business, you must cooperate with the landlord forces in this world, not just those of the four emperors. After all, Yequan's ultimate goal is to build a business empire, and the chaos of New World must wait until only after you develop yourself can you get your hands on it." No selling impossible, I can't do anything other than make money." Yechuan refused directly. "This is also a business negotiation technique. Be quick to take your stand." Resolutely. The other party would not dare to bully him indiscriminately. Aokiji's mature face looked slightly sideways at Yechuan, who was smoking a cigarette. At this time, Yechuan did not have the mature temperament before, and the relaxed neckline, coupled with the movement of smoking, gave people a yuppie temperament. Aokiji didn't think that since this magical young man knew his identity and the behemoth behind him, he would dare to refuse so unhesitatingly. "I think you should know what it would be like to be an enemy of the entire naval headquarters and the world government, even if someone supports you behind your back." Hearing this, Yechuan shrugged his shoulders and sneered a few times like a king's scallion. "I never wanted to be an enemy of the world government, I just wanted to do a small business, and I never thought it would develop to such a large scale. However, since it has changed people's lives and is an enemy of the world, so what?" This sentence is an excerpt from Papa Ma's famous sentence. Hearing this, Aokiji had a look of surprise on his face. He couldn't believe that such words could be said in the mouth of a young man like Yechuan. You know, being able to say such a thing is already outrageous. The atmosphere fell silent. Whoa! Suddenly, a piece of white paper was taken out from Aokiji's suit and leather shoes and caught Yequan's eyes. Chapter 36. Congratulations to President Yet. Take the naval headquarters. For collection. Ask for flowers. Ask for evaluation. Ask for a reward. A white book appeared in Yequan's eyes, and he silently took it. Yechuan began to study it carefully. After reading it, Yechuan sneered in his heart. Marine actually wants to establish a cooperative relationship with him, and it seems that it is still for the purpose of monopoly, because what is written on this blank piece of paper is the supply and sales contract. Under the dense payment, Party B's naval headquarters has stamped the official seal. As long as Yechuan signed his name, the paper contract had legal effect. Due to the cooperation with naval headquarters, either party will be sanctioned by NICE lobby for breaking the contract. However, Mr. Yet, who is a transmigrator, will naturally not forget the incident of Luffy's group saving Robin. The so-called NICE lobby is a nominal court. The prisoners who were taken there have never come out alive. The so-called justice behind the door, there are only two places that lead to: 1. Naval headquarters, the strongest warhead of the world government, and 2. The deep-sea prison that imprisons the world's most evil prisoners, Impel Down. Is this a word game with Laozi on the contract? Yechuan thought to himself, but what they didn't know was that if you want to monopolize Yechuan's goods, it's not a matter of money that can solve Jews' love. Yechuan's goods are endless. Monopoly too naive. Yechuan signed his name without hesitation. Yechuan would not be polite to this kind of money that came to his door. He was short of money to light up the template right now. At the same time, the system in his head beeped. Congratulations to Mr. Ye for winning the super order from Naval Headquarters. Reward points, 1000 points. Ding! Because it is a batch order, the points settlement has changed. As long as the smoker expresses a feeling of love for the product, the system will accumulate 1 point. Aokiji on the side, saw Yechuan hesitated for a while, then signed his name. His mouth twitched slightly. Little brother, have you really read the above requirements? Aokiji was worried and asked tentatively, but seeing Yechuan's indifferent face, Aokiji doubted whether he had taken it wrong. After checking the contract carefully, 1 Sabayati Archipelago, Yechuan, the owner of 0 people and 0 shops in the sky, must provide naval headquarters with 10,000 dozen beers each month. 2 Sabayati Archipelago, Yechuan, owner of 0 people and 0 shops on the sky, must provide naval headquarters with 10,000 cigarettes of each type every month. 3. This contract is valid for 1 year. If either party breaches the contract within 1 year, it will be sanctioned by NICE lobby. That's right. Aokiji's face was a little stunned. This is a business worth hundreds of billions. Why don't you just take a closer look? Yechuan has also thought about it, providing Marine with such a huge amount of goods every month, and he has the capital to open a branch by himself. 15W a dozen pineapple beers, 10,000 pieces, is 15 billion Baileys a month. 20W a dozen Qingdao, a month is 20 billion Baileys. 50W Baileys a dozen snowflakes, a month is 500 billionaire. Amazing sales. However, the contract is only for a short period of 1 year, which makes Yechuan a little disappointed. In addition, the naval headquarters costs an astronomical figure of 20-40 billion Bailey a year. However, Yechuan felt that just one naval headquarters would not be able to make so much money. However, Yechuan was not alone in this thought. Naval headquarters also felt that Yechuan could not come up with so many goods. At the time of signing this contract, Yechuan was ready to sue naval headquarters in the near future. That's right. This great emperor is so hanging. After confirming that there is no problem with the contract, Aokiji was about to withdraw the contract, but Yechuan snatched it away. What are you doing? Aokiji asked Yechuan with a stunned expression. Did he suddenly regret it? I saw Yechuan looked at this $1 trillion contract with a satisfied smile and said, being able to establish a cooperative relationship with naval headquarters shows that the government has given great support to our private enterprises. Such a thing for the sake of the people cannot be buried here. We must promote it vigorously. We might as well hold a press conference. How? Yechuan returned to the sophistication of those 0 vertical and horizontal malls, coaxing Aokiji. Aokiji's rigid face looked at Yechuan strangely, with an ominous premonition in his heart. What do you want to do, boy? Yechuan sneered in his heart, just wanted to dismiss me so easily, sign the contract in duplicate. Give me one now. Who knows such an obvious secret loss, will the great emperor eat it everyone? Suddenly, Yechuan sorted out his clothes and walked towards the center of the tea party with the contract in hand. Everyone was immediately attracted by Yechuan's actions, looked at them one after another, and talked softly in unison. Everyone. My brother is fortunate to sign a $1 trillion supply and sales contract with Naval Headquarters today. Tonight, I will hold a press conference with 0 people and 0 rooms on the 40GR day. I hope everyone will come to join us. Yechuan held the contract high, and his high-pitched tone made everyone in the arena hear it clearly, but he was very humble when he moved, which made it impossible to find any resentment. However, when everyone heard the news from Yechuan, they were all stunned and dumbfounded. Even though they knew that there was Marine's shadow behind this tea party, they never imagined that they came to Yechuan to discuss cooperation. And it's a trillion-level order. If this were to spread out, it would definitely be another big news that shocked the world. Suddenly, someone in the sluggish crowd came back to their senses and shouted, "Congratulations to President Ye for winning Naval Headquarters." Afterwards, many bigwigs at the tea party congratulated in unison, "Congratulations to President Ye. Win Naval Headquarters. Congratulations to President Ye. I won 1 trillion orders. Mr. Hershey. Win Naval Headquarters." Yechuan waved his hand in satisfaction, motioning for everyone to quiet down, and everyone cooperated very well and gradually quieted down. I can win the Naval Headquarters. This honor cannot belong to me alone. This is the government's great support for our private enterprises. As the owner of 0 people and 0 rooms in the sky, I will definitely not live up to the government high hopes. I also ask Aokiji Admiral below to be a witness, and I hope that at the press conference at night, Marshal Sengoku and others can come to participate and show up. Yechuan, like a professional speech expert, put on a high hat on Naval Headquarters, and Aokiji below had a black line on his face. What takes Naval Headquarters? It's the same as Naval Headquarters being captured. The key is that Yechuan also said that he is right and cannot be refuted. The people below heard that Yechuan was going to invite Marshal Marine to attend the press conference, and they were as excited as the brainless fans who saw the stars. But some pirates were instantly stunned. Set sail. Sail now. P.S. I'm leaving Sabayati soon. Open shop. Open shop. Chapter 37 Hot Chicken Tendons. For collection. Ask for flowers. Ask for evaluation. Ask for a reward. Soon, when Yechuan announced the news of holding a press conference, it immediately swept across the island like a hurricane, and major news reporters heard the news. The fancy press release about Yechuan radiated all over the world. When Yechuan walked out of the bubble palace, the outside world was already surrounded by countless fanatical reporters, holding countless video bugs in their hands to aim at Yechuan, and Yechuan was also escorted by the hotel's special bodyguards, like an international superstar. Suddenly, in the crowded passage, Yechuan stood still, and the surrounding bodyguards also held hands to open an open space for Yechuan. Boss Yat. I'm a reporter from Fila Club. How do you feel about this collaboration with Naval Headquarters? Hello, Boss Yat. I'm a Colt from Tencent News. May I ask you to hold a press conference at night? Will Marshal Marine and others really attend? Boss Yat, Boss Yat. We are reporters from Beta News. How do you feel about your instant wealth also? will your magical products have follow-up products? The reporters around were all as if they had been beaten with blood, madly asking questions. Someone actually asked Yechuan if he has a girlfriend. Of course his wife will have one. As a business emperor, of course he must have a shrewd, capable woman as his wife. Yechuan smiled and waved to the crowd. The business temperament on his body was shocking. Where have these reporters seen businessmen with such outstanding temperament? The crowd gradually quieted down, and Yechuan said slowly, "It is our honor to be able to cooperate with the government this time. In addition, we hope that all the friends from the press will come to report on the press conference this evening. After all, this is a collusion between officials and businessmen. Ba. A historic moment in the cooperation between government and business. It shows that the government also attaches great importance to the development of our business. As for whether Marshal Sengoku and others will come, it depends on whether they attach great importance to this cooperation." Hee. Just kidding. Aokiji Admiral has communicated this matter back to the headquarters, and I believe that it will not be long before you can see the warships coming from the headquarters at the 60GR port at the entrance and exit of the government. Yechuan, who spoke elegantly, also made everyone feel good about the scene. After finishing his words, he smiled and nodded to the surroundings, and then disappeared from everyone's sight under the escort of bodyguards. "Everyone! Before the party starts, let's squat at 60GR. That's right. Such an important meeting. Senior Marines will definitely be dispatched." In no time, hundreds of mad reporters rushed to the 60GR of the government entrance and exit because of Yechuan's words. Meanwhile, Aokiji rode his bike back to naval headquarters and passed the news of Sabayati land to Sengoku and others. The three elders and Aokiji in the conference room. The three of Sengoku's faces were very bad, their faces were blue, and their expressions were serious. "We still underestimate him," and even took the initiative to request a press conference. Crane Vice Admiral's old body sat on one side, holding a cup of hot tea with a curling mist in his hand, and muttered, "If he really has the strength to provide such a huge military supply, it will also be of great benefit to our marine. We can also use this to allow the science department to research the ingredients of these magical tobacco and alcohol, and we won't have to spend such a huge amount in the future." Budget. The old urchin marine hero Garp on the side also said with a thoughtful expression. As a marshal, Sengoku nodded solemnly and said, "Garp is right, the purchase of tobacco and alcohol is indeed a huge number for us marine, and it is naturally the best for the science department to study it." Aokiji, who had been speechless, scratched his head and asked lightly, "Then, are you still going to this press conference?" I saw Sengoku, who was in the first place, suddenly stood up and tossed Marshal Justice's cloak behind the chair. Putting it firmly on the body, a domineering temperament belonging to the upper-ranking person suddenly revealed. "Eyes sure. This kid puts such a high hat on the world government. If we don't go, the outside world will smear us marine. Call Sakazuki and go together." Aokiji was slightly taken aback by Sengoku's words. Marshal Naval Headquarters leads 3 admirals to Sabayati land. This. Garp on the side seemed to understand what Aokiji was thinking, leaning back on the seat and said solemnly, "That kid put a high hat on marine, and he encouraged a lot of reporters. I guess he was afraid that we would go back on it. We marine must pay attention to it no matter what. Let's go." Hearing Garp's explanation, Aokiji was slightly stunned, and the picture of Yechuan holding a contract speech appeared in his mind. He didn't expect this young man to be so shrewd, brave and wise. And in the 40GR day of Sabayati, there are 0 people and 0 president's offices. This is a business villa that Yechuan sold for himself. Not much, just a few 100 million baili. After all, it is in a bustling area like Sabayati. In the gorgeously decorated office, Yechuan was sitting on the desk, Xiao Wu was standing by the window, staring at the slowly rising bubbles in a daze. Now, as Yechuan's bodyguard, he must follow him every step of the way. System: open Bailey Mall and select an industry template. Yechuan communicated with the system in his seat. Soon, a light curtain appeared in front of Yechuan. There were dense industry templates on it. However, almost all of them were unlit in grey. Only the two industries of tobacco and alcohol were lit alone. Tobacco and alcohol have become famous and made a lot of money now. After today, the small goals for the next month will be refreshed. I must start a few more industries while there is still so much rich money. Yechuan thought to himself. System: do you have any business planning suggestions? Yechuan asked. Facing so many industries, Yechuan himself was a little dazzled for a while. Mr. Huiyet, regarding choosing to open an industry and selling commodities, the system cannot give suggestions to the host. It requires the host to make its own judgment. The system can only assist the host to build a business empire. The system poured cold water on Yechuan mercilessly. Yechuan scrutinized many industry templates, and finally decided to light up the following two industries: snacks industry, clothing industry. After all, it is still in the early stage of development, and the wealth accumulated by Yechuan is not enough. Like the military industry, gambling industry, and VR game industry in the later stage, once it comes out, that is the existence that will make the world rush. Ding! Congratulations to Mr. Ye for lighting up the snack industry and the clothing industry. 200 points will be awarded. Ding! Mr. Ye can now start to unlock items by himself. Yechuan opened the points mall and entered the snack industry. The familiar modern snacks are presented in front of Yechuan one by one. Now Yechuan has more than 500,000 points and is still growing rapidly, which can almost be exchanged for many snacks. Industry commodities. Hey! Hot chicken. I like it. Exchange. Ding! Deduct 5W points. The hot chicken tendon effect. Enhance the hardness of the body surface, allowing the eater to temporarily reach the low-level armament haki hardness. Emma. Red Bull. Yes, yes. Ding! Deduct 10W points. Efficacy: 100% instant recovery of physical strength. Within 24 hours of consumption, the energy is unlimited. No side effects. Snickers 4-in-1s, it's okay too. Ding! Deduct 10W points. Efficacy: 100% instantly stimulate 20% of the body's potential combat power for 24 hours. Pulsation. Exchange. Ding! Free up 10W points. Effect: 100% combat power doubles for 1 hour. Yechuan spent 360,000 points to redeem many snacks, and the various effects are also very significant. Immediately afterwards, Yechuan entered the clothing industry with doubts. Could it be that the clothing industry is selling clothes from previous lives? If so, then you underestimate the great emperor. Chapter 38: Exciting Armor. Armor of Thorns. Please order first. Ask for the first order. Ask for the first order. When Yechuan opened the clothing industry, Yechuan was shocked. Armor of Thorns, 20W points. Efficacy: resist 30% of the attacks of ordinary Paramecia fruit power users. Inspiring Armor, 20W points. Efficacy: it can resist 30% of the attacks of those with the ability of the Logia fruit, and the recovery speed of physical strength will be increased by 20%. Verzi Warrior Greaves, 15W points. Effect: make the wearer instantly increase his own movement speed by 30%. Mad Armor, 50W points. Efficacy: when the wearer is fighting, the stamina value is doubled. After 8 seconds of leaving the battle, the armor provides the effect of the heart of the madman, so that the wearer's stamina is instantly full of blood and maintains the peak state. It's actually the equipment in the previous life League of Legends. Ye Xuan looked at it with a horrified expression. What a familiar piece of equipment. If he hadn't crossed, Ye Xuan would have left gold and rose to platinum now. These must not be sold in bulk. At least not now. Otherwise, the whole world will be disturbed by me. Ye Xuan was extremely shocked. If Whitebeard were to wear a madman's armor during the Summit War, who just passed him full of blood at any time? Double your stamina. However, Ye Xuan's temporary points were not enough to redeem such high-level equipment. Redeem uplifting armor. Ye Xuan chose the exciting armor that can defend against those with the ability of the Logia fruit. After all, Logia is almost a godlike existence in the first half of the Grand Line, and the armor that can resist 30% of their attacks will definitely attract many pirates. After spending 200,000 points, Ye Xuan's point value returned to before liberation overnight, but the benefits brought by tobacco and alcohol were huge, and the point value was increasing at a gratifying rate. After exiting the system, Ye Xuan closed his eyes and pondered for a while. Now that Sabayati has developed well, I can rest assured that there are silly girls and the Rayleigh couple. The snack industry should develop in another place. Buckle. 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 Suddenly, there was a knock on the door, and a silly girl in a red leather jacket and trousers walked in, smiled and said, "Boss, the press conference is ready, you can go to the venue." Ye Xuan glanced at the silly girl, and then changed into businessmen's clothes. The tough lines matched Ye Xuan's handsome face, revealing a steady aura. Ye Xuan buttoned his clothes and asked in a deep voice, "How's the situation outside? Who's on the marine side?" The silly girl at the door is sweet and lovely, smiling kind. Most of the pirates on the island have already chosen to set sail. Marshal Sengoku and Akainu, Aokiji and the two admirals are now entering the port from the 60GR port. There is only one warship. Your name is Silly Girl. Watch out for marine hero Garp. And General Crane did not come. Ye Xuan nodded silently. After all, this place is next to naval headquarters, and there is no need to go out to the top, but the gathering of 3 admirals is enough to shock people. Xiao Wu, go. Then, as it got late, Ye Xuan took Xiao Wu to the press conference. At the same time the marine port. The 60GR, which was supposed to be accessible only by the government and the Marines, is now crowded with media reporters from all over the country. The port is densely crowded in the size of a football field. Thousands of Marines on the island have become field controllers to maintain order. The crowd split in two, opening up a wide road. On the shore, a tall and thin figure turned his back to the crowd. Kizaru, wearing a cloak of justice, waited lazily. A soft china was silently ignited in his hand. In the distance, an ordinary warship was slowing down. Drive slowly. That's the Marine Admiral Kizaru, who was beaten for a few kilometers by the big boss in heaven and earth, Mr. Yet. SHH. You don't want to die. Even if you know about it, don't say it. That's right. Look at Kizaru Admiral, even though he was beaten by Boss Yet, he still smoked their cigarettes. This scorpion is really wide. There was a lot of discussion in the crowd, almost all of them were talking about Yechuan beating Kizaru. Kizaru glanced behind him indifferently, and shook his head silently, not wanting to explain anything. Soon a warship coming from naval headquarters slowly docked. On the deck, Sengoku and the two admirals walked down with unsmiling faces, standing tall and full of confidence. Those reporters boiled instantly, holding up the old-fashioned cameras and video phone bugs in their hands. Wow, as expected of our Marshal Marine and our headquarters admiral. Each of them has the aura of a strong man. What a strong lineup! Boss yet is so young to be able to do this business. It's terrible. It's terrible. That's right. Boss yet is not easy. Finally, the three admirals gathered. Kizaru also flicked the cigarette butts, and nodded to Sengoku. Then Sengoku, who was wearing a clean white marine uniform, strode forward. Behind him, the three admirals walked side by side, Aokiji left and right. Kizaru Red Dog stands in the middle. Such a powerful lineup, even in the New World, can become a hegemon. I actually saw Marshal Sengoku. I'm so excited. He's the legendary Marine who put the Golden Lion in Impel down 20 years ago. Marshal and Marine hero Garp caught Zero together 20 years ago. I wonder if Mr. Garp is here. I adore him. Don't forget, Sakazuki Admiral among the three admirals. His combat power is definitely the number one existence among the three admirals. I heard that some time ago, he went to New World to hunt down one of the four Emperors Kaido's subordinates, and the 300 million pirates were knocked over with one punch. There was a lot of heated discussion, and the flashing lights were as dense as stars. As Sengoku and others entered the military base to rest for a while, these reporters also moved their positions and went to the 40GR press conference site. In the Marine military base, Sengoku and his party were sitting on the sofa, and on the coffee table in front of them were the soft Chinese and snow beers that Kizaru sent someone to buy from heaven and earth. It's just these two little things. Sengoku has a puzzled look on his face. Although he has studied it for a long time, he still feels a little unreal when he sees it with his own eyes. On the other hand, Akainu, who was on the side, could not hold back and was eager to try. I'll try Zero. Everyone looked at Akainu with a big hand, opened a bottle of snowflakes, poured it directly into the belly, and finished the bottle in an instant. Aokiji glanced indifferently, Sengoku looked expectantly at Akainu, and Kizaru looked indifferent. He had already tried these things. I saw Akainu's unchanging iron face of 10,000 years, slowly closed his eyes, and the corners of his mouth were slightly raised, revealing a comfortable expression. It does have an effect, but a bottle, the effect is not too big. Akainu opened his eyes and said indifferently, but his eyes were carefully looking at the snowflakes in his hands. Kizaru, who was on the side, took a cigarette and said in a dragging tone, "Well, for people who are strong in themselves, they must drink a lot to have an effect, and a bottle with low strength is enough." Hearing this, Sengoku was instantly relieved, his throat moved up and down, his eyes were burning, and then he opened a bottle and drank it in one gulp, and he was instantly refreshed. Immediately afterwards, he opened a pack of soft Chinese, and ignited it skillfully. Hiss! Call! In the conference room, Sengoku made a soothing sound of breathing and breathing, his eyes were slightly closed, and he leaned on the sofa, his face full of enjoyment. He held the cigarette lightly between his fingers, and a wisp of green smoke rose slowly. A soft Chinese thread instantly eliminated his troubles and worries over the past few days, his tense nerves were relieved, and the whole person became much more transparent. A cigarette after drinking sent someone to the west. Sengoku leaned on Roruan's comfortable sofa with a bewildered expression, and muttered, the three admiral beside him looked at Sengoku in amazement. He didn't expect soft china to have such a strong effect on Sengoku. Sengoku, first order please. Aokiji, first order please. Kizaru, first order please. Chapter 39 Press Conference. For collection. Ask for a reward. Ask for flowers. Ask for evaluation. At night, the sea of Sabayati is under the mutual radiance of moonlight, starlight, and neon lights, and the dark blue sea is sparkling. The entire 40gr, the stars, colorful street lights, and neon lights are set against the sky of soap bubbles, forming a beautiful atmosphere. A wonderful picture. There were crowds of onlookers and a large number of news reporters outside the commercial street. They were well controlled on both sides of the commercial street by Kablik's many black suits. It is covered with crystal lanterns and neon, and the floor is covered with a bright red carpet of hundreds of meters. Hundreds of industry leaders, celebrities, and aristocrats, dressed in gorgeous banquet costumes, gathered here. They held beer and cigarettes, accompanied by soothing music, and exchanged laughter and laughter. What a press conference full of celebrities! At the end of the street, Yechuan also built a podium according to the specifications of the United Nations Conference in the real world. Is this the rhythm of the speech in the head office with 0 people and 0 people? Yechuan exchanged a white domestic Rimba businessmen's clothing from the system. The temperament of the mature and domineering high-cold president is like a substantive heavenly knife, coming out through the body. Kill the previous George Armani. The leisurely Rayleigh and Shuki looked at Yechuan with satisfaction, and could not hide their admiration in their eyes. Since Yechuan promised the two of them that they can enjoy any product in the store for free, they have become Yechuan's employees, and they are also the general manager of tobacco and alcohol sales and sales manager of Sabayati. Yechuan believed that with the two of them, there were 400 more idiots, and because this place was relatively safe in Sabayati, no one would dare to invade fans. Rayleigh, are you ready? Yechuan suddenly looked at Rayleigh, a slight evil smile appeared at the corner of his mouth, and his eyebrows were bright, giving him the temperament of a young cult leader. On the other hand, Rayleigh, who was full of relief, was suddenly stunned by Yechuan's question. Shuki also looked at Rayleigh and Yechuan with a cigarette in his mouth and looked at Rayleigh and Yechuan in confusion. Are these two guys plotting something behind their backs? Prepare. What are you going to do? Rayleigh looked at Shuki beside him dumbly and turned his gaze to Yechuan again. I plan to announce your identity at the press conference later. Yechuan said with a smirk. But these words sounded like a thunderbolt in the ears of Rayleigh and Shuki directly through their brains. The two of them looked horrified. Then he showed a dignified color, and his body instinctively assumed a fighting stance. The atmosphere in room 0 is a little subtle. Rayleigh and Shuki don't know why Yechuan did this, but once Rayleigh's identity is exposed, the consequences can be imagined. It will attract the pursuit of the world government. Although the two are not afraid, but when they are old, who would like to still be drifting at sea? Yechuan burst into laughter when he saw the solemn expressions on the faces of the two of them, and the two of Rayleigh were even more confused when they saw this. Don't worry, I know your situation, but don't forget, you are covered by me. Understand? Yechuan smiled evilly at Rayleigh, raised his eyebrows, and then pushed the door away. Rayleigh and Shuki watched Yechuan leave blankly. They were full of doubts. What the hell is this guy doing? The moment Yechuan walked out of the store, like a bright moon rising into the sky, the flashing lights and spotlights in the venue instantly gathered on Yechuan. The bright and dazzling Jinba men's clothing reflected bright white light against the background of the strong light, which set off Yechuan like its own holy light. The male god of the field is average. The pitch-black obsidian-like pupils swept across the crowd, and nodded politely with a smile. Immediately, all the guests in the audience looked at them, and they all gathered towards Yechuan, and the reporters who were blocked from the commercial street were instantly boiling. Look! It's Boss Ye who came out. My God! Such a handsome man! It's the best among men. What brand is that snow-white suit? It's so pretty. Quick shot, quick shot. Go back and post at night. As a future business emperor, Yechuan still manages to deal with such a small scene. He waved to the people around him with a humble smile and nodded. Immediately afterwards, a waiter beside him brought a glass of snow beer in a goblet. Yechuan took it, held the glass high, and said loudly, "Thank you to all the big guys in the industry for holding me on the field, and I also thank so many journalist friends outside the field. All the drinks are free today, and everyone can drink as much as you want. In addition, each of the media friends outside will give out a pack of soft china for free. Count me on Yechuan's account." Yechuan is very arrogant, but he also speaks very indifferently, making people feel no resentment at all. In the ears of the bigwigs in front of Yechuan, these words just sounded like a means to win over people's hearts, but in the ears of the reporter friends who can get a pack of soft china for free, it is enough to make them brag for a month. What a beautiful thing! My God! Boss Ye is so arrogant at a young age. What should I do when I grow up? We don't understand the world of local tyrants. A 50W, a pack is a 5W Bailey's cigarette, woohoo! I can't bear to smoke it. It's so touching. Tomorrow's press release, I must imprint Boss Ye's humble image on the newspaper, so that people all over the world know it. Yechuan took back the wine glass in his hand, straightened his clothes, smiled and said solemnly, "In addition, at the press conference tonight, in addition to signing a commercial cooperation with Naval Headquarters, I will also announce two things, one of which is that we have launched a new product." Immediately, hundreds of princes, nobles, and socialites in the venue all widened their eyes and quietly started to discuss. There is another launch. What will it be this time? I don't know. I'm really looking forward to it. The snow beer and cigarettes alone are amazing enough. Boss Ye is really a genius. Well, Boss Ye is really a genius. Boss Ye. There's one more thing. Why didn't you say anything? Someone in the crowd asked. The nerves of everyone who had just relaxed were tense again, and they were staring at Yechuan. Yup. Didn't you say two things? One more. Yechuan waved his hand and smiled lightly, "Let me leave a suspense." Everyone was amused by Yechuan's little coquettish smile, and they couldn't help but laugh. Boss Ye is really a funny person. Ha ha ha. Young, promising and humorous, he is really a generation of business tycoons. Afterwards, Yechuan, who was pretending to be a little girl, silently mixed into the crowd, holding a beer in his hand and pushing the glasses to exchange with the people passing by. Because the marine party had not yet arrived, everyone was also waiting. Now the entire commercial street is filled with Yechuan. Quan's business site, even if it is the Four Emperors, he can crush it with a single finger. Suddenly, neat footsteps sounded from far to near. Buzz! 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 Yechuan looked at the rippling beer noodles from the goblet in his hand, and glanced at the entrance of the venue. Marshal Marine and Headquarters 3 Admiral are here. Suddenly, a reporter outside the venue exclaimed. P.S. Leave a very good evaluation vote. Thank you for your cooperation. Chapter 40 Mr. Ye is a great talent. Please order first. Ask for collection. Ask for evaluation. Ask for flowers. At the entrance of the venue, countless Marine soldiers holding fire guns in neat rows poured into the crowd, standing in 2 rows by the passage, neat. Solemn. Action 0 Action specification. Gives a sense of solemnity that cannot be invaded by fans. Then, under the flash of countless flashes, the 4 figures wearing the cloak of justice, full of aura, slowly approached the crowd. The 4 of them looked serious and meticulous. The cloak of justice behind them blew with the wind, and the corners of the clothes where there was a grin in the air. Marine F4 headed by Sengoku, each hand held a piece of soft Chinese in their mouths, and when the 4 of them walked, a wisp of blue smoke drifted backwards from their mouths, majestic and majestic. Yechuan in the crowd was startled. Looking at the 4 of Sengoku with a stunned expression on his face, this FK is walking with wind, and he still has a cigarette in his mouth. Underworld to find fault. Soon the surrounding crowd gathered around the 4 of them, greeting each and every one of them, and they were very close. Yechuan sneered at the corners of his mouth and walked to the podium silently. After a simple entertainment, Sengoku and others also came to the podium. The 3 admirals were seated behind the podium. Sengoku and Yechuan stood side by side in front of the podium to receive everyone's attention. The gorgeous lights were focused on the podium, and all the celebrities also gathered. Yechuan kept smiling all the time, and made an okay gesture to the silly girl in the corner. Soon, those outside reporters rushed into the venue, and everything was so orderly. Marshal Sengoku, may I ask you to sign such a large order with 0 people and 0 rooms on the sky this time? Do you want to monopolize the goods on this day? 0 people and 0 rooms. Soon, a trustee arranged by Yechuan asked the first question. It immediately caused a heated discussion among the crowd, and Sengoku didn't expect such a sharp question, and was a little speechless for a while. What? Marine actually had this idea. Then won't we be out of stock in the future? This. I manage so many casinos every day, it's a lot of pressure. If I don't smoke I will die. Immediately, the celebrities and nobles below were frying one by one. And Sengoku glanced coldly at Yechuan beside him. This was the first time he had contact with Yechuan, but seeing Yechuan's mouth slightly raised, Sengoku understood what was going on. If it's not appeased, these people will definitely smear Marine everywhere. Yechuan was sober in his heart. Playing a business war with me? You are still tender, Sengoku. Everyone be quiet, Marine does not intend to monopolize. The contract we signed with 0 people and 0 rooms on Tian 0 has express provisions. Everyone may wish to ask Yechuan to show the contract to show justice. Sengoku is worthy of being called the resourceful general. Facing Yechuan's little trick, he immediately brought the ball to Yechuan, but this is what Yechuan was waiting for. Everyone, please see. This is the contract I signed with Naval Headquarters. In fact, Marine does not intend to monopolize. You can rest assured that we have sufficient supply of goods every day, 0 people and 0 rooms, which can not only guarantee Marine's military supplies, but also carry out retail sales. Yechuan had the $1 trillion order in his hand, and patted Hunpo as he promised, while Sengoku, who was beside him, suddenly felt a sway in his heart. Looking at Yechuan with slightly surprised eyes, he thought to himself, could it be that this guy really has so many goods? Impossible. When everyone heard that Yechuan dared to take pictures of Hung Piu's promise, the tension on his face was immediately resolved, and they all smiled and praised, it's still Boss Ye who is amazing. I almost thought I would stop smoking in the future. Yet, I can't live without these cigarettes and alcohol. Fortunately, Boss Ye has great skills, I admire him. Later, another reporter asked that it was also arranged by Yechuan. His purpose was to tell the world all the money in the contract, and it would be a good deal for naval headquarters. Marshal Sengoku, can you tell us the exact amount of the contract? Since this is the first time we have been exposed to such amazing news, can you tell us? When this reporter asked, it immediately aroused the curiosity of countless people in the audience. Sengoku's calm face showed a trace of confusion, and the three admiral behind him also looked at Yekwan's back with a solemn expression, and there was a faint smile on his face. Now he looks like a very cunning man. Fox. The three of them all know the content of this contract. In fact, there are many loopholes, but this is an internal confidential document. It would definitely discredit Marine if it was exposed. Sengoku's face was embarrassed when faced with Yekwan's arrangement, and a thin layer of sweat appeared on his forehead. Sengoku stabbed Yekwan's eyes and cursed in his heart. This kid must have arranged it. Yechwan bowed his head and smiled, and then grabbed the right to speak, but in the eyes of everyone, Yechwan was helping Sengoku out of the siege, because everyone knows that this kind of confidential data is generally not released. The feeling has improved a lot. Since everyone is so curious, I will tell you a little bit. Naval Headquarters has signed a 1-year contract with 0 people and 0 people on the sky, providing 10,000 various commodities each month, and the annual transaction volume is 40 billion. The breakers will be judged by a nice lobby. Yechwan said lightly. The countless people below were dumbfounded. The huge number of 2 trillion was like a substantial hand choking their throats. Incredible. And when Yechwan said it nonchalantly, Marshal Sengoku by his side froze, his soul swayed. What do you mean by revealing? FK said it all. Among the 3 admirals behind him, Kizaru and Aokiji, who had already seen Yekwan's extraordinariness, were also pale, but Sakazuki frowned, staring at Yekwan's back but didn't dare to attack. The air around him was full of air. Start to twist and send out a rolling heat wave. Mr. Yet is a genius. Mr. Yet is a great talent. Mr. Ye can develop business to such a degree at a young age. Great talent. Great talent. Mr. Ye has earned money that almost ordinary people can't earn for centuries. He is the incarnation of God. After a while, some people in the group gradually recovered from the shock, and then Chiokai shouted. Praise Yechwan. Yechwan is very humble about this. He always has a humble smile on his face, nods to everyone, and is not arrogant or impetuous in the face of praise, and he is indeed one of the top 3 students in Zenzong 0. Always keep in mind the 8 honors and 8 shames. Please let it go. On the podium, Yechwan pushed Sengoku away with a smile, and stood alone in the center of the podium, raising his hands to signal everyone to be quiet, but Sengoku, who is more than 2 meters tall, became a supporting role in this conference. As Marshal Marine, the aura of the top 0 was completely crushed by Yekwan's domineering president's aura. Looking at Yechwan with angry eyes. Be yourself a Marshal Marine, a man who stands at the top of the pyramid of the world. It was actually pushed aside. Of course, he was angry, and he couldn't do anything to Yechwan, because Yechwan was a legitimate businessman. Not the pirates they fight. But in the eyes of everyone, Yechwan just nudged Sengoku lightly with a smile, very natural. All right. Yechwan has already received my love. I am surprised that I can earn so much money at a young age. I have to thank the government for its support. Yechwan pointed at Sengoku next to him, and Sengoku smiled at everyone in a conditioned reflex, bowing slightly and nodding. In fact, Sengoku refused in his heart, but the key point was that Yekwan's words were straightforward, giving Marine's top hat higher than the other, making him powerless to refute. "Mr. Yet, can you tell us how you did it? What can we do to be as rich as you?" Immediately, a celebrity raised his own question in a half-joking manner, and many people present felt that it was another person who came to flatter Yechuan, each with a modest smile on his face. However, Yechuan raised his eyebrows, pointed at the celebrity with a smile, and said, "You asked this question very spiritually.